Jam Shinpad Paramahamsa Bhavajakacharya Saraswati. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Bhavajakacharya Saraswati. His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Nita Gaur Premanandi. Yes. You just said it's all Vishnupada Krishna Vishtai Bhukale. Srimad everybody Swami Nitinamine, Pachari Purvam Dakshin Chavakta Chana Panavarta, Patari Purakaranam, Yasya Sarvijitana Maham. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishaya Bhutale Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Prachayane Vishe Shishimita Pasijan Deshitai. Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you for joining. Today we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 19. Starting a new chapter today. Texts 1 through 4. Chapter 19 is entitled Performing the Pansavana Ritualistic Ceremony. So we'll read text 4 and then go back and read the verses preceding. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Alamte nirapikeshaya Purna Kama Namostute Avibhuti Pataye Nama Sankala Siddhaye Alamte nirapikeshaya Purna Kama Namostute Mahavibhuti Pataye Nama Sakala Siddhaye Alamte Nirapikshaya Purna Kama Namostute Mahavibhuti Pataye Nama Sakala Siddhaye. Would anybody like to repeat the verse? Going once, going twice. Alam te to you. Nirapikshaya, indifferent. Purnakama, O Lord, whose desire is always fulfillment. Namaha, obeisances. Astu, may there be. Te, unto you. Mahavibhuti, of Lakshmi. Pataye, unto the husband. Namaha, obeisances. Sakala Siddhaye, unto the master of all mystic perfection. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. One should then pray to the Lord as follows. My dear Lord, you are full in all opulence, but I do not beg you for opulence. I simply offer my respectful obeisances unto you. You are the husband and master of Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, who has all opulences. Therefore, you are the master of all mystic yoga. I simply offer my obeisances unto you. Purport. A devotee knows how to appreciate the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Purnam Adha Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Utachate Purnasya Purnam Adhaya Purnam Eva Vishishite. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, and because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. Therefore, to take shelter of the Supreme Lord is required. Whatever a devotee needs will be supplied by the complete Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tesham nitya Tesham nitya bhuktanam yogam kshenam vahamyaham. Therefore, a pure devotee will not ask anything from the Lord. He simply offers the Lord his respectful obeisances, and the Lord is prepared to accept whatever the devotee can secure to worship him. Even patram pushpam palam toyam, a leaf, flower, fruit, or water. There is no need to artificially exert oneself. It is better to be plain and simple, and with respectful obeisances, offer the Lord whatever one can secure. The Lord is completely able to bless the devotee with all opulences. Just reread the previous texts. Text 1. Maharaj Parikshit said, "My dear Lord, you have already spoken about the Pungsadhana vow. Now I want to hear about it in detail, for I understand that by observing this vow, one can please the Supreme Lord Vishnu." Text 2 and 3. Shukadeva Goswami said, "On the first day of the bright fortnight of the month of Argrahayana, November through December, following the instructions of her husband, a woman should begin this regulated devotional service vow of penance, for it can fulfill all one's desires. Before beginning the worship of Lord Vishnu, the woman should hear the story of how the Maruts were born, under the instruction of a qualified Brahmana. In the morning, she should wash her teeth, bathe, and dress herself with white cloth and ornaments. And before taking breakfast, she should worship Lord Vishnu and Lakshman." And then today's text. She should then pray to the Lord as follows: "My dear Lord, you are full in all opulence, but I do not beg you for opulence. I simply offer my respectful obeisances unto you. You are the husband and the master of Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, who has all opulence. Therefore, you are the master of all mystic yoga. I simply offer my obeisances unto you." Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuramitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadadmayam Dadanti Swapadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhivata patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, everyone. So I thought we could speak about this part, this mood of what we're able to offer, how we simply offer to the Lord whatever we have in our ability to offer. How, just like Srila Prabhupada saying here in the purport, there's no need to artificially exert oneself. It's better to be plain and simple, and with respectful obeisances, offer the Lord whatever one can secure. The Lord is completely able to bless the devotee with all opulence. So I thought to speak a little bit about this aspect of offering unto the Lord whatever we're able to possess, and how we can offer the Lord our whole selves in the process. Read from Bhagavad Gita and cite a few examples from Shastra. So I thought to read from 926 Bhagavad Gita, because this is where Srila Prabhupada is quoting this verse, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam. Yo me bhakta priyachit tadaham tina shnistad. If one offers me with love and devotion, a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. So I remember I've studied this purport many times because it's so nice to hear about this point on how we offer Krishna whatever we have in our possession. So even if one is very poor and can't offer the Lord even, opulent foodstuffs or um, like here on the farm, we have the ability to offer Krishna curd and cheese and milk products and a variety of vegetables and fruits, and we can make all sorts of sweets. So we can offer quite lavish preparations to the Lord. But even if one doesn't have that, if they don't even have a kitchen, if they have nothing, if they simply offer just with love in their heart, they offer a leaf, a flower, a fruit, whatever they have, then that is sufficient. And Krishna accepts that love as like the tastiest thing. Um, just now, I'm thinking of in the earlier days, I can't remember which temple this was, but maybe San Francisco when they had the first Jagannath deities, and they were asking Srila Prabhupada, what should we do? Should we do like offer something? And Prabhupada just had them all bring flowers and offer just a flower to Lord Jagannath. This is like sufficient. Of course, there's like the worship of Lord Jagannath and the deities. It's very elaborate, with so many mantras and articles and paraphernalia. But for the time, place, and circumstance, like just being able to do that is sufficient. Even now, it's nice to see people come, some visitors come, and they just bring some boga, some fruit, um, whatever they have. So, anyways, in this purport, there's a couple points. There's 3 points I wanted to mention um, that are really nice. They summarize the purport nicely. So let's see. So this point is, so for the intelligent person, this is just the first couple sentences of the purport. It is essential to be Krishna conscious. It is essential to be in Krishna conscious, engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, in order to achieve permanent bliss, to achieve a permanent blissful abode for eternal happiness. And then Srila Prabhupada has this. The process of achieving such a marvelous result is very easy and it can be attempted even by the poorest of the poor without any qualification. So when I learned this verse, we learned these in the ashram, we would always put in like actions to help remember it. So I always like this one. It's the process of achieving such a marvelous result is very easy and can be attempted by the poorest of the poor without any qualification. So imagine like a beggar is just like, I'm so poor, I have nothing. I just have 3 pennies in my begging pot and some chipped rice. I have nothing to offer to Krishna. But even if we have just these 3 chipped rice grains and we offer them with love and devotion to the Lord, to whoever is most dear to our heart, even this little small offering, you can achieve such a marvelous result. So you don't have to have a certain qualification to achieve. But it's very important, Srila Prabhupada says here next, without the basic principle of bhakti, nothing can induce the Lord to agree to accept anything from anyone. Bhakti is never casual. The process is eternal. It is in direct action and service to the absolute whole. So this is a very important point that we might have very little to offer, or we might have lots of opulence to offer. But if we don't have this basic principle of bhakti, then it doesn't matter what we offer Krishna, he's not going to accept anything. So that's why it's so important to cultivate bhakti yoga, to cultivate love and devotion, like that connection with the Supreme Lord. Because if we don't have that connection, then who are we offering to? And then, of course, here, Srila Prabhupada summarizes the important element of offering. The important element in preparation and serving and an offering is to act with love for Krishna. So this is very nice too, because if this is like what ties the whole process together, like especially if we're cooking or if we're serving devotees, my spiritual masters mentioned many times that the person who cooks the prasadam and the person who serves the prasadam, they actually have an equal importance. I'm not sure if you've ever experienced this before when you're like really hungry and you go up to get prasad and someone's serving, but they're in a really bad mood. And it's like you just lose your appetite completely. It's like, oh, I don't actually, want, or they give you some rice and you're like, oh, can I have a little bit more? And they're like, no, you can't have anything. And you're like, okay, I don't want it anyway. So this mood, it actually is equal and they get the same result for the person who's serving the prasad and the person who's cooking. They both need to be acting in a mood of love. And of course, when you offer the prasad as well, or even in any service, like that's the case. It doesn't just, for me, of course, my service is cooking. So I always relate everything back to like how I perceive it through the lens of my cooking service. Um, but this is relevant to all services because all services are actually an offering unto Krishna. So there's these other nice points that I want to share from this purport. Um, so Srila Prabhupada speaks a little bit here about, I mean, in relationship to food, but um, I'll just speak about this offering first and then I'll go to the slightly negative part. Um, so he's speaking about those who do not offer their food to Krishna, just like those who do services with the mindset of this is for my own pleasure and whatever money I get from this service I'll use for my own senses. So he says, in other words, their every mouthful or their every action simply deepening their involvement in the complexities of material nature. But preparing nice and simple vegetable dishes, offering them before the picture of the deity of Lord Krishna and bowing down and praying for him to accept such a humble offering, enabled one to advance steadily in life, to purify the body and create fine brain tissue, which will lead to clear thinking. I remember really relishing this point because I was like, oh, this is how I can get free from my foggy mind. Just do this. But yeah, even if we are doing our simple services, we're just thinking, okay, Krishna, you are the controller. You are Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. You actually control everything. This is just my offering to you to glorify you through whatever service I'm able to do. Then this will actually purify our entire body and mind. And then this is about offering. Krishna is hearing the devotee's words in love. Offering foodstuff is wholly identical with his eating and actually tasting. His hearing is wholly identical with his eating and tasting. That's quite far out point for Krishna. He can, like we only can taste. I mean, sometimes you can taste with your eyes, um, at least in relationship to cooking. I've heard this many times, but first, when you see something, you eat it with your eyes, then you smell it, then you eat it with your touch, and then you eat it with your taste. But so Krishna, we have to do these things with our physical senses. But Krishna just hearing a devotee offering with love is equal to him tasting. Imagine how potent that is. So, anyways, I'll get carried away if I speak too long about prasadam. I wanted to focus on these points that the process of achieving this marvelous result is very easy. It can be attempted by anybody, regardless of your position in society. And the basic principle of bhakti is to act with love for Krishna. So on those points, there's this nice pastime in Krishna book. Um, it's in the later pastimes. It's in the pastime, not in the pastime, but it's in the same chapter of the pastime where Arjuna kidnaps Subhadra Devi to marry her. So this is in the later part of Krishna book. It's the pastime of Lord Krishna visiting the city of Mithila. And in this city, there's very pious devotees, and two of them who have a specific um, strong inclination to the service of Krishna is the king of Mithila, King Bahulashva, and there's this very simple Brahmana named Shrutadev, and they both live in the city of Mithila. So one day, Krishna is driving and he tells his charioteer Daruk to take him to the city of Mithila so that he can visit these great personalities. And he goes there, and he's not alone. He's actually got a company of a variety of sages with him, including like Maitreya, um, Shavana Muni. I'll have to look it up quickly. I can't remember them all. But there's many. And let me see if I have it open. Because it's nice to hear these names of these personalities. Let's see. And anyway, so they appear at the house of um, these different devotees. And let's see. So, yes. Just so, because, yeah, anyways, hearing these different personalities makes the situation even more unique and special. So he was accompanied by the great sages, Narada, Vamana, Arti, Vyasadeva, Parasarvama, Ashishta, Aruni, Shukadev, Brahaspati, Kanava, Maitreya, Shavana, and others. There's like 15 plus sages. So he rocks up. So he goes to the house of the king. And King Bahalashva, of course, he's the king of Mithila, so he's very opulent. And when he sees the Lord coming, he like falls down to the ground. He's of course overwhelmed with like ecstatic love, welcomes them all in, seats them, like brings very nice chairs, like um, very opulent, soft, cushiony chairs, seats them all down, gets his servants to wash the feet of all the personalities. He personally washes the feet of Krishna. He sprinkles the water on his head, sprinkles the water on all of his family members. He's shaking in ecstatic bliss. He offers such nice prayers to Krishna, um, and glorifies him exceedingly. And then after offering all this nice opulent worship, feeding them with all such like nice opulent food stuffs, um, and pleasing them so much, he begs, please, please, please purify my house a little longer, stay here for 3 days or more. And of course, because of such love and devotion, Krishna's like, okay, yeah, stay with all of his associates. So at the same exact time, he also is visiting the house of the Brahmana. So this is why Krishna is um, this pastime always kind of confused me because I was like, how I know Krishna can expand himself because he's got 16,108 wives, but how is it that these sages also duplicate themselves into these other forms? But I learned that um, it's one of the mystic powers. They can duplicate, great yogis can duplicate themselves into 7 forms, but they can't do what Krishna can do. Um, so anyways, they have a separate batch of the same personalities go to the house of this Brahmana. And at the same time as he's going to the King Balalashva's house, Lord Krishna is also received in the house of this Brahmana, Shrutadev. And he's just a very poor Brahmana. He lives in like a cottage house. But he's so pleased when Krishna comes, and he does the same thing. Falls down, he pays his obeisances. He welcomes in him. He's bringing his whole family, his family's there. They all pay their respects to Krishna. They don't have anything to offer, but they just offer like nice sitting mats for them to sit down on the floor. They wash their feet with simple water. They sprinkle it on their head. And he offers him such beautiful prayers. And he says, my entire existence has become purified just because now you have entered into my house. So Krishna is equally as satisfied, it talks about in this pastime, with the king as he is with the Brahmana. There's no difference in his satisfaction, um, which is very nice to hear. And it the later on it says like the moral of this story, uh, after all these prayers, offerings, is that Krishna is satisfied with the love of the devotee. And there's this pastime that's similar, that takes place. It's probably in Krishna book as well, but I remember hearing it from the Mahabharata when Krishna goes to um, the city of the what's the city that Dhritarashtra lives in? It's not Indraprastha, it's not Hastinapur. Hastinapur? Okay, maybe. Yeah, I guess so, Hastinapur. So he goes to Hastinapur to try and plead with the Kauravas to uh, stop the war, the battle that's going to happen between the Pandavas and the Kauravas to just stop it from going on. And he goes there to plead, and he's not received well. Actually, Duryodhana tries to kill him, but of course, Krishna is the Supreme Personality, so that doesn't happen. And then afterwards, he's like, okay, we'll just stay here for a few days. We'll give you Dushasan's palace, and Dushasan is like got this really opulent palace. And Krishna's like, no, thanks, I'm good. I don't want to do that. And he's, well, come dine with us. We'll feed you very opulently. And Krishna's like, I don't want to eat anything at your house. I'm going to go stay with Vidura, because Vidura is, of course, the pure devotee. So this is just another instance of like there's someone has all this opulence, all this like ability to really like so-called please somebody with lavish food and money and whatever, but because there's no love, there's actually envy, and then it's incredibly distasteful. And Krishna would rather go stay at the simple cottage or hermitage of Vidura, because although he's still opulent because he lives within the palace and the quarters of Hastinapur as a great personality, uh, it's simple, and that's much more satisfying to Krishna than anything else. Um, there's also this nice, there's so many nice pastimes about this point because in our Shastra, this is emphasized so much how if we just offer Krishna something with love, it's so much more pleasing than anything offered otherwise. And that's actually like the aspect that he tastes and that he eats. Um, and so, yeah, there's a person I'm thinking of. I'll just share before I move on to another point. I can't remember who the personality is. Maybe it was Vidura. And he's sitting down. He comes and he sits down in the house, and they're washing his feet, and they start offering Krishna bananas. But instead of offering Krishna the fruit, they just offer the peel because they're just so in ecstatic love. So Krishna is taking the peel and eating the peel of the banana because he's also experiencing the love that the devotee is offering. He's not even taking note of what he is actually consuming. So, anyways, there's endless pastimes. We could speak about this, going through different pastimes of Bhagavatam, finding examples where devotees they offer that aspect of love through their service. So then what do we do if we don't have love for Krishna? A little awkward, hey? When you're on the offering and you're offering, and you're like, oh, I'm just thinking about like mundane like things. So I'm also wondering the same question. What do we do if we don't feel like we have love for Krishna? Well, love is a gradual thing. It doesn't develop automatically. Um, as one is Devarmrita Swami often quotes these songs from like, um, I don't know, I guess when he was a teenager. And there's this one, he sings often, he would sing in class that you can't rush love, you just have to wait. And it's like, and then it's like, he's, the chorus is like, but I can't wait, I can't wait, I can't wait. Maybe Leela Kishore Devi knows the song better than I do. But so yeah, it's just, you can't rush love, you just have to wait. So how do we um access this love? Like love develops through service. That's actually the highest form of love. It's not that we love automatically and then we find attraction for the service. But actually just through performing acts of service to somebody, the natural attraction develops. Just like the attraction between a young boy and a young girl, naturally that's there, but then through acts of loving exchanges, service to each other, then the love is kindled more. So in this way, in regards to our Krishna conscious process regarding developing love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, simply by following the activities of devotional service, will actually develop that attraction to Krishna, which seems that it can be quite strange. I remember when I first came into the ashram when I first moved in, and they were having this morning program, and I remember I was standing at the back and I was looking at the altar and I was like, there's literally rocks on the altar and we're jumping, like we're jumping in front of rocks. I was like, what? It's such a weird, I was like, but I was thinking like, I hope one day I can actually understand this because it's like these people are clearly like experiencing happiness that you can't get on the material platform. Um, so it comes with time. And Lord Chaitanya is so merciful that unlike Krishna, who is more reserved and requires rules and regulations in order to achieve the his mercy in that way, then Lord Chaitanya just freely distributes the love of God to everybody. So he makes it easy for us to come to Krishna consciousness and for us to be attracted to the process of bhakti yoga. And this comes as like this taste, this mercy that he's distributing, this taste for the process. Um, I can think in my own life when I was going to the loft to the preaching center in Auckland, where I met the devotees. Um, and what was I doing? I remember I was doing a lot of things at the time, and trying always to find this enjoyment, like a flavor, some sort of taste. Like that was my like purpose when I was like all through my teenage years. Just want to experience the highest, like I wouldn't call it bliss. I want to experience the highest happiness. And of course, that would get me into a lot of trouble in situations. I would do too much of something or do too much of this, or get sick or do that, or go too hard and then get in trouble. So I was always looking for that. And then when I met the devotees, I remember doing like kirtans, of course, were ecstatic. And at one point in time when I was going there more often and they started engaging me in some service, I would be cleaning the floors in the kitchen and they didn't have mops for some reason. The kitchen wasn't very big either. It was probably about the size of the puja room. Um, but they would just scrub it with like a little brush and a bucket. That was how they cleaned the floor. Um, So anyways, that was, of course, when you have a helper in the kitchen and you like don't want to do a service, you get the helper to do the service you don't want to do. So I would always do that service. But I really liked it. And then I would like scrub the floors and then I'd move like the tables apart and scrub more. And I remember there was only men at that time coming around. So the men who were like living in the ashram would be like, come on, like finish, let's go. We have to drive so far to go home. And I'd be like, well, like just move this bench. There's a little oil here. Let's get this oil. So I was experiencing so much joy from scrubbing the floor. And I remember leaving and being like, wow, I feel so happy. I was just scrubbing the floor and like I, or cleaning. I do this stuff all the time, but because it's being done for Krishna, there's such like experience and taste that comes from it. So I remember leaving and being like, wow, I'm just so happy. I'm so satisfied. I just was like cleaning the floor. Like what a random thing to do. Um, but it was experiencing so much bliss. So this is Lord Chaitanya's mercy. He gives us a taste for the process of Krishna consciousness. And then when we get that taste, then we have to work to maintain it. So it's not that we can just get the taste and live off that for the rest of our lives. It's like His Holiness Devrimir Swami often gives this example as if you come into like like you go into Grove on a hot day and it's so cold in the kitchen. You're like, oh my gosh, it's so cold in here. It's so nice. But then what are you going to do? You're just going to sit in the kitchen all day? No, you got to be productive and do things. So you got to like move on to the next thing and actually act in Krishna consciousness, be productive. So in the same way with bhakti, Lord Chaitanya gives us a taste that like, wow, this is something special. I actually have attraction for this. Or you're in a kirtan and you're looking at the deity and you're like, wow, I actually like some little spark of attraction gets awoken in like the concrete cemented heart. And you're like, wow, I actually like think Krishna looks really beautiful today. Or before the altar opens and you're like, I'm so excited to see what Krishna looks like. So this like taste, this mercy that we're getting from Lord Chaitanya and from Krishna and the spiritual master, we have to work to maintain it, to develop that taste. And of course, the more we hear about Krishna, the more we're able to understand Krishna, which means the more we're able to love Krishna because we know about him, we're hearing about him. We can become one of his intimate associates just by hearing about him constantly and serving him. And we can also make ourselves very distant from not hearing about him and not serving him. And the relationship becomes very distant, um, like a friend you haven't talked to in a long time. And then you get together and you're like, oh yeah, we're kind of, what have you been up to for the past 25 years? I haven't talked to you. So it's a little awkward. So But if we maintain that relationship, then it's strong, and then um, yeah, it can be a rock in our life. So yeah, same with bhakti. So, anyways, that's at least my little experience that I know about how we can actually develop love for Krishna. Um, but of course, it all comes through the process, and part of the process is developing love for Krishna itself. I remember my spiritual master telling me once in a darshan, I was asking him a question like, when I cook, sometimes I'm thinking about what's pleasing to the devotees. Like, often I do that still when I'm cooking. I think, oh, what will the devotees like? Uh, Maybe I'll make this preparation because this will be pleasing for the devotees. And he just kind of was like, you could try maybe it's like um you could try having more like affection for Krishna when you cook. Like what would Krishna like? And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that I'm actually cooking for Krishna's pleasure, not for like mine. Of course, it can be tricky, but Krishna is um, he created everything in the world. So even if we're offering things that might seem uh, like distasteful, Krishna probably likes it because he created it. But even if it's something austere, even if you just offer it with love, or you try to, if you don't have any love in your heart, oftentimes I just ask Krishna, please, Krishna, just accept this out of your causes mercy. I don't have any love for you, but if you just take it, uh, please just be merciful to me in that way. Like, I remember I used to be on a juice fast, and I used to offer Krishna a bunch of juices. And one devotee walked in the kitchen, she saw the offering, and she's like, God, that's so austere. Like a bunch of different green juices and like smoothies and stuff. She's like, oh man, that's so austere. Krishna's eating like 50, or what is it? I don't even know, 500 offerings a day in Jagannath Puri, like puris and gulab jamins and rasmalai and all these really opulent preparations. And then here in the Bhakti Lunch kitchen, I'm offering Krishna like 5 different kinds of juices and some salad. So, but anyway, so the point is that we're able to um, Krishna will accept what we're able to offer him if we do it sincerely and with love. And that can also be dovetailed into anything we do. Even if we're not able to follow all the so-called rules and regulations of a particular object or um, time of the year or whatever, if we're just able to do our service as nicely as we can, and we are able to do whatever we can to participate in one aspect of, like, let's say Kartik is a nice example. We are able to just chant the prayers every day and offer a candle or a flame to uh, Shishirada Damodar. Then this is actually sufficient because we're doing it in a way that's sustainable and we're doing it to our ability. Of course, other people, they might be able to take on like 108 vrats during that month, also do their service, also offer a candle, also do so much more. And that's great for them. But for us, just like Prabhupada says here in the purport, there's no need to artificially try and make such elaborate offerings. We just do what we can do to the best of our ability. So, one second, Nitai Chand, I can see your enthusiasm, but it's one more fun. Okay. Um, so yeah, anyways, there's different aspects to it, but the main thing is even for some, they might insist, like for those persons who can do such elaborate offerings or um like in this month now we're entering into Chaturmas. So for those who like they want to grow their hair out and they grow their nails and they follow all the different sort of ruts that you can do in this month and they fast from everything that is considered green, that's great for you if that's in your capacity to do. But for those who already have a very austere life, then just doing the simple spinach fast and doing that alone while maintaining your other services is also just as satisfying to Krishna. He doesn't distinguish between the two. So, yes, anyways, just wanted to mention those points because they're nice and oftentimes it's easy to get caught up in all of the things we should be doing and forget the whole point of our life is to actually just devote it to Krishna, which sometimes can be the hardest part. So, yeah, I wanted to just share those points. There was something else on my mind, but can't think of it at the moment. So, Nitai Chand Prabhu, did you have something you wanted to say? I got a little distracted, but not by much, just one point. No, that's fine.
I have a correction. Make it worse.
Please.
Although, where it might be wrong.
No, my life is to be corrected.
But you said that the highest form of love is service. Srila Prabhupada in the report to 126, he doesn't call it the highest form of love. He says that service is the most conducive form.
Mhm.
Which is very nice word. So,
Thank you.
so service is the most conducive form of love.
Yes, thank you for the correction. Service is not the highest form of love, but as you're saying, it is. Srila Prabhupada says it's.
Or else he said,
No, it's not. The highest form of love is Ripalamba Bhav. He says that many times. Love and separation. That,
we're just in the flow and going for it. Anyway, I really like that sentence. This is
so
one, two,
126.
126. Per to 126.
Purport to 126. Srila Prabhupada says service is the most conducive form of love.
Well, also, it's possible.
Service is the most conducive form of love. Yes, as we know, Dasya Prem service is in all of the mellows. So it's always there. All right. I'll stop there. Questions, comments? Costume? There's lots of people online, but since you're here in person, you get first choice. Okay. Yeah. No, there's no, someone just commented the song is You Can't Hurry Love by the Supremes that I was quoting that grade says in class.
Very nice about. I was thinking quest. Since that's Guru Purnima, they can stay the awesome could glorify the awesome movie. So
Glorifications of Vyasadeva. Let's see what pastimes are coming to my mind. Yes, let's see. Okay, so Vyasadeva, he's comes from what dynasty? He's the brother of Bhishma. He comes from Harsh. Yeah, Russian Mooni. It's his mother. What? Father, yeah. This dynasty, I'm trying to think of all the personalities in it. And anyways, one of his main roles that he does is I mean, besides being the sage, that he appears many times throughout many different pastimes, and there's ones that just keep popping up is he's actually the biological father of um, King Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and Vidura, right? Yeah, and he because he was when what's their father's name? Um, not Vyasadeva, but like the actual yeah brother. I can't remember his name. Anyways, he died early and he never begat children and any of his wives, so that kingdom was gonna like disintegrate, which obviously wouldn't happen. So then, in desperation, the mother called for Vyasadeva to come because Bhishma had taken a vret that he was going to be a lifelong celibate, so he wasn't going to take on that role of producing children in that lineage. So they asked for Vyasadeva to come, and he came, and he had come out of meditation, so he was like physically it looked very unappealing, like matted hair. Like we were just hearing about the pastime of Sobari Muni when he came out of the ocean. So it was like similar vibes. So anyways, she meets with um there was two queens, the primary queen, second queen, and there was a maidservant. meets with the first queen and she sees him and she closes her eyes out of fear of seeing Vyasadeva. So Vyasadeva begets a child with her, and then afterwards he goes and tells the mother this child will be born blind. So that's Dhritarashtra. So then again, she insists of that, the second queen goes. So the second queen goes and Vyasadeva comes, and the queen, the first wife, says, you can't close your eyes. I know he's going to look scary, but you have to keep your eyes open. So she does, but she turns white in fear of seeing Vyasadeva because he's in his full aesthetic glory. So then he begets a child in her and he says, this child will be born, but have a complexion of paleness. So that's Pandu. He was always very white in complexion. So then again, the mother begs, please, please, just one more child. So then they're supposed to be with the first wife again, but the wife is like, no way, I can't do this. So she dresses up her maidservant and sends her in. And when the maidservant's there and Vyasadeva comes, and of course Vyasadeva is all-knowing, uh, so he enters and he knows exactly what's happened. But the maidservant, because she's very sweet and simple, she worships Vyasadeva very elaborately, washes his feet, offers him such nice prayers. So then he begets a child in her. And he says this child will be a very great devotee of the Supreme Lord. So that was Vidura. But of course, because Vidura is born from maidservant, he was never able to rule the kingdom of the Kurus, even though he would have been actually probably the perfect king. Other pastimes of Vyasadeva, I'm not sure of right now. That was the first thing that came to mind. Besides the whole basis of yeah, I mean, of course, there's the whole reason that the Vedas are written and descriptions of Krishna is because Vyasadeva was writing so much, but then he was feeling dissatisfied, so his spiritual master came, Narada Muni, and instructed him, you should write about the pastimes of Krishna and describe Krishna's activities, and then he did, and then we have, of course, what we have now. So that's why we glorify him. Did you have anything you wanted to share about him?
Uh,
That's all I can think of. There's some.
yeah, the food reading what's his appearance. I know, I mean, there was all the Vedas, and then he like delegated. He like delegated like to use the non-Veda, you know, kind of with different personalities.
Mhm. Yeah. I know that he got Ganesh to write it because, like, as he was speaking, he got Ganesh to be the transcribe because he was the only person who could go without stopping. Fun fact about Ganesh. Okay. Yeah, crazy. All right, I guess we have a couple minutes before the offering's off. It looks like it just went on. Um, any other comments, questions? I have, anyways, I won't get into this now. I'll save it for our Prasadam Kata, but don't want to create too many controversies. Yeah, cliffhanger. It's about tetraments. Yeah, yeah.
Thinking about a part of the class. Um, yeah, there was a point where you mentioned about Krishna was in he was in Duryodhana's city. That was
Yeah.
and and he was offered like a lavish house to stay at, and I said he went to stay with Vidura. And you mentioned it's because he doesn't want the envy is so distasteful. And then you kind of elaborated of like, well, what are we to do? You know, we have no love for Krishna, so how are we to offer things? Um, yeah, it's just kind of stuck on that point of like, yeah, how am I to make an offering to Krishna if we're like so um polluted with envy? And yeah, he's not gonna like it. And then what if he doesn't like it and you feed it to the devotee and it's like contaminated? Yeah.
Well, Krishna likes to only follow the process. Just like in deity worship, there's a process. It's very specific, and even though it's like, like at least for myself, sometimes I'm like, oh, I just want to do my own thing because like, I'm so proud that Krishna will like whatever I can do. But if we just follow the process, and that's actually the most pleasing thing, even if it's artificial in the beginning. Um, so if we're offering and we're just thinking like, oh, I've got so much, pollution in my heart, it's better we just like, okay, ring the bell, chant the mantras, and just like that. All right, I'll just offer this. I'll just follow the process. And that even that is pleasing to Krishna. So even if we're like the most contaminated person, but we just do that, then that's what's actually pleasing. Like and Krishna is so merciful. Like, this demon Putana, she like literally tried to kill Krishna. She like the whole time she was thinking like, I'm gonna kill this kid. Like there wasn't a moment where she was like, oh, he's kind of cute and he's the supreme person of Godhead. I should worship him. No, she was like, yeah, suck that poison. Like, I hope you die. And then just because of what she was doing, she was like acting as a mother, even though it was completely artificial. Krishna still liberated her. So, and that's like a great demon who like literally her life was killing children and eating them. And so, what to speak? Like, we're not doing that. We just are like a little envious of the devotees sometimes, or like we might think bad of some person for a little bit, or whatever. We don't have so much contamination from what we did in our previous um, engagements, but we're not doing that much sinful activities actually. And Krishna, yeah, he's so merciful. He does that for these demons, and what to speak of someone who's like, okay, at least I'm gonna try. Like, I'll just try. I'll just ring the bell, try and think of Krishna, and I'll try and pronounce these mantras correctly. So even just that is like enough that Krishna will be like, oh, look at my devotee. He's so sincerely trying. So yeah, there's this nice pastime, also a nectar of devotion of this Brahmana, and he didn't have anything at all. He was so poor, but he just sat in meditation. He started making elaborate preparations in his mind to like worship Krishna. And in the process of doing all of this, he was like testing some sweet rice to see if it was too hot, because sweet rice should be a cold preparation, and he burnt his finger. And when he awoke from the trance, he realized his finger was actually burnt. And Lord Vishnu, he was like completely bewildered. And Lord Vishnu in the sky was like laughing, and he brought him on a Vaikuntha airplane and he explained the whole situation to him. He's like, I've actually been watching you this entire time, and I was just laughing at you of your situation you were in, and because you burnt your finger. So Krishna's there. He's like watching what we're doing. It's paramount in the heart. So even if like, yeah, we're super contaminated, we just try, then this is pleasing. And we keep doing, we keep trying, we keep trying. Krishna will put us in situations that will like really test that effort. Like, okay, like you tried before, but now I give you, I make you sick, you're gonna have a cold, you're gonna have like a sprained ankle, can't get out of bed, like, and it's winter. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna chant or are you gonna space out? So, and then we choose Krishna, we choose to chant. And he's like, oh, okay, taking note of our activities. So yeah, it just develops. You can yeah, like even if it seems artificial, like, oh, no way Krishna's gonna accept this. But then he does. So yeah, that's one.
Yeah, and in that specific pastime, like, he doesn't accept it, denies it.
Oh, but Dhritarashtra,
Yes, that
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
it's okay if I comment on this. So even if you're, I guess we say, internally contaminated, you can also serve Krishna by performing your duties. So even if it's just like purely on the duty conscious level, that's also considered a form of devotional service. Actually, we read again and again in Bhagavad Gita, these places, that one of the ways to worship Krishna is by performing your duties. In these different places talks about specifically within the Manashram system, where you don't have now. But one of the principles still stands that if you are like, even if you aren't standing on the altar or in the fields or whatever, you know, experiencing ecstatic love of Krishna, if the consciousness is okay, well, I'm rostering for the service. I, agreed to do this. That's why I, should do it to the best of my ability. Then it's, then that's also a devotional service. Krishna also accepts this. Also, we generally go through board and tie rather than direct this to Swadhyasana. Even though we all first to board and tie with Radha Damodar because board and tie are very exotic. Even things that don't necessarily fall rules and regulations at all. They accept it. Of course, we don't, say, they accept the good fight on them to, right? Because that's, offensive. But that's why we go through Gordon.
There's a through from no, you're through. If we don't know where to pick up, if the group from brothers,
Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Shishiyata Namadagi, Jai Gaur. Gaur Premikos.
Andanmai Savatana Mate.
Chaitanya. Nitya. Uh,